Hi everyone, welcome to mypaperpassion.com. Today I'm going to be walking you through a tutorial on how I print text onto my 4x6 and 3x4 journaling cards for Project Life. And the process is pretty simple, so we'll go ahead and get started. So to do this, you're going to need to open up Microsoft Word, and I'm using Word for Mac. If you have Pages for Mac, or if you are a Microsoft Word user and you have Windows, the process is going to pretty much be the same. The only difference is probably where on the screen your different icons will appear. Once you open up Microsoft Word, you're going to need to open up a new document. And then once you open up your document, you'll see a blank page that looks like this. What you're going to do next is create a template for your 3x4 journaling card. So to make your template, you're going to need to insert a text box onto your page. And to do that, you're going to go up to the very top of your screen. And at the top, you should see some words. It might say Word, File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Font, Tools. And what you're going to look for is the word that says Insert. So you're going to click on Insert. And when you do that, a drop-down box will appear. And then once your drop-down box appears, you're just going to select Text Box. Now you'll notice that once you select Text Box, your cursor will be blinking there. But then in addition to that, you'll see that you have a little arrow. Now this arrow is simply asking you where on the page you'd like to place your text box. And you really can place it anywhere on the page. However, if you're going to be maybe you're going to be printing out more than one journaling card, you might just want to move your text box to the left side so that you have enough room for however many journaling boxes you like to put on a page. And if you're doing 3x4 journaling cards, you can probably fit 4 on the page. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to insert one box. So once you decide where you want to select to put your box, you're just going to click and drag your mouse. Now once you do that, you'll notice that there is another box that appears, and this is the box that's telling you the size of your text box, so the width and the height. And then you simply drag your mouse until the width and the height that you want appears. So I'd like my width to be 3 inches, and I like my height to be 4 inches. So I'm just going to drag it down until it's 3x4. Okay, now that I have a 3x4 box, I'm just going to release my mouse, and then my text box is going to appear there on the screen. Now you'll notice that the text box right now, it has a light blue outline for the box. And what you're going to need to do is change that outline color from that light blue to a black. So to do that, you're going to double click on your text box. And when you do that, you'll notice some new options appeared on your screen. So I'll go back and do that again. So you'll double click on your text box, and watch right here on the screen. You'll notice some new options appear for you. Okay, so what you're going to need to do is select the option that says line. And once you click line, a drop-down box will appear. And these are all the different color options you have for your text box outline. Now for this outline, I want it to be black because I'm going to end up printing this text box out as a guide for me for where I'm going to place my journaling card on my paper. So I have my 3x4 box here, and this is going to correspond with a 3x4 journaling card. So the next step is to simply print out this journaling card, or this template actually, for your journaling card. So to do that, I'm just going to click File and Print. And then once this prints, I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. So I've just printed out my text box that I formatted on Microsoft Word, and this is what it looks like on the paper. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is select a Project Life journaling card that I'd like to use in my page. So what I'm going to do with this journaling card is adhere it to this text box here that I created, because this is just going to be my guideline for where I want my text to print out on. So I'm going to use some removable adhesive, and I use mono adhesive for this. And when I do this, I always make sure that I'm using a removable adhesive, because you don't want to use something that's going to stick this permanently to this paper, because you're going to want to be able to lift this up after you've printed on it. So when I put my adhesive on, I just put a little bit at the top here and then a little bit at the bottom, just enough so that when I run this through my printer, this is going to stay put. So I'll go ahead and put my adhesive on now. Just a little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is line this card up right inside of this text box. This is the reason why I had you do your text box in the dark black, so that you could see exactly where you need to place your journaling card. So I'll do that now. Now I'm going to just set this to the side. I'm going to go back to the computer and show you the next step. Okay, so now that you have adhered your journaling card to your template, you're ready to come back to the computer and type your journaling in your text box. So to do that, you're just going to click on the inside of your text box, and your cursor will appear blinking on the left-hand side. Now, the one thing that I always do before I start typing is I choose my font. So you're going to come up to the top here, if you're using this version of Microsoft Word. You come up to the top here. If you select Home, you will then see your font box right here appear. And then once you click on this box, a drop-down box will appear, and this is where you can select your font for your journaling. So for this one, I'm going to select Hello Millionaire. And then another thing that I also like to do is select my font size. So you can adjust your font size depending on how much journaling you have. So if you have less to say, you can choose a larger font. And if you have more to say, you can choose a smaller font size to get more of your journaling in there on your card. And that's just another thing that makes this way of doing journaling a lot easier. Okay, so now that I have my font selected, I am going to change the font size a little bit bigger to maybe like an 18-point font. So now that you have that selected, you're ready to just type whatever it is you want to say on your journaling card. So I always hit my enter key once, because I don't want my journaling to start at the very top of my page or the very top of my card. So I always hit my enter key once, and that's just going to start my journaling down one space. So for this one, let's just say April 1st, 2014, and I'm just going to make up something just for the sake of the tutorial. Okay, so that's just an example of your journaling and how you would type it on there. And now that you've done that, you could also play around with your font a little bit more in terms of, or your text a little bit more in terms of where on the card you'd like to place it. So let's say that you wanted to select this text and you wanted it to be aligned in the center of your card. You would simply click at the beginning of April and then drag your mouse along your words until everything is highlighted. And then you'd come up to the top here and you have some options as to how you want your text aligned on the page. So if I wanted to center my text, I'd select this box here, and that's going to center the text. Or if I wanted to align my text to the right, I would click this option here, align it to the right or left. And let's just say for the sake of this one, I want to align it to the center. I'll keep it like that. And this alignment option also gives you more choices if you are adding text to a journaling card that, let's say, has a design on it somewhere, and maybe you needed to move all your text over to the right, or you needed it centered so that you didn't cover up maybe a design on the card. This is another great option for that. Okay, so now that you have your text aligned, you can deselect the text, and this is basically what your text is going to look like on your journaling card. Now I'm going to put a space between the date and the journaling. And again, like I said, if you didn't have a lot to say, you could change your font size to make it larger so that if you wanted to fill up your whole card, you could do it that way. Or you could leave maybe space at the bottom here for a ribbon or buttons or some type of embellishment. So I'm going to leave mine the way that it is. Okay, so now I'm pretty much ready to print this journaling onto the card that I adhered to my template. But before I do that, I need to remove this black box outline here because I don't want this to print on my journaling card. So to remove the outline of your text box, you're going to double click on your text box just like we did before. And then your line options will appear again. So you're going to click on that same box that we clicked on before that says line. And in this time, instead of selecting black, you're going to select no line. And that's going to remove the text box outline there so that that black line doesn't print out on your journaling card. So at this point, you just need to insert your journaling card that you adhered to the piece of paper. You need to run that through your printer. And you need to make sure that you look at your printer to see which way your paper should be facing, whether your paper should be facing upward or downward. And there's usually a little icon on your printer drawer that tells you which way to face your paper when you're printing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that part now. I'm going to go ahead and insert my paper into my printer. And then when I have my paper inserted, I'm going to come back and just click print here. And then I'll show you what that looks like once it's all printed out. Okay, so here is what the journaling card looks like. And I'll zoom in a little bit here so that you can see what it looks like. I've ran this through my printer, and this is how the text printed out on my card. So when we printed the outline of a text box, that was just so that we knew exactly where to place our card, so that when we ran our paper back through our printer, the text would print exactly where we wanted it to print at on the card. So at this point, you're almost ready to use the card. You just simply need to remove the card carefully from your paper. So to do that, I normally just use my spatula and I carefully lift up my card off of my paper. And I'm careful because I don't want to rip my card, and I also don't want to ruin my template because I want to be able to use my template over and over again. So I'm going to carefully just lift it up. And this is another reason why I only put adhesive on the two portions of the card, because I want it to be easy to come up. Okay, so that was pretty easy. So now what I always do as well is I flip my card over and remove any adhesive that's on the back, because when I stick this into my Project Life album, I don't want the adhesive to stick to my pages. So I just go through with my fingers and just roll that adhesive off. This is another reason why it's important to just use the removable adhesive instead of the permanent. Okay. Just remove it again off the bottom here. I'm just rolling it off with my thumb. And it's pretty much ready to go. So here's your journaling card. You have your journaling all typed on there. And it's ready to go into your Project Life album. So that is my tutorial for today. I hope that you find this tutorial helpful. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email at mypaperpassion@gmail.com, or you can go over to my website, mypaperpassion.com, and select the contact link and send your questions that way. Also, if there are any video tutorials that you'd like to see, any other tips or tricks that you'd like me to do a video on, please send me that information as well. And it doesn't have to be Project Life related. It could be anything related to paper crafts. Maybe you have a question about how to do something on your silhouette or your Cricut. I'd love to do a tutorial on that. So again, that's a tip for today, and I hope that you find it helpful. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.